see some new faces in here from last time, a couple old faces, a little bit of repeat clients, all that good stuff. So, I'll do a quick little introduction here real quick. My name's Capt. I'm an owner of Patriotic Guide Service, full-time charter business here, right out of Tarpon Springs. Run 7 days a week out there, fish everything from redfish, trout, snook, tarpon, offshore, cobia, grouper, everything you can imagine inside that state water line, we fish for it. What we're going to be doing here is, this is a monthly seminar that we're starting at Tarpon Fishing Outfitters. So I'll be here every month. This will be the third Wednesday of every month. I'll be here teaching something new to you guys. Everything from how to catch redfish, snook, trout, specific fisheries like that. Then we do broad topics like today. We're going to do wintertime fisheries, everything from offshore trolling, throwing a cast net, anything in between. We're going to be teaching you guys here. It's going to be a free seminar to kind of teach you guys how to fish out here and make you guys some better anglers. I'm sponsored by Tidewater Boats. That's maybe my big sponsor for you guys to fish with me before. I love that boat. But if you guys need to check them out, Family Boating Centers in Tampa on Anderson Road carries them. Phenomenal boat, nice wide beam to it. Can fit 5-6 guys on it fishing very comfortably. Can fish in 10 inches of water. I've also had it in 4-foot seas and stay dry in that boat. Absolutely love it. And then of course, Tarpon Fishing Outfitters will be our big sponsor for this guy as well. They go out of their way. They donate some gift certificates every time here. They go find vendors and sponsors to get you guys some more gear here, and obviously they give us this nice venue. I know if you guys have been to all three, we keep trying to figure out what room to go in here from outside that small room over here to this one. I think we might have it figured out here. We can fit a few more of you here and can go outside if need be here. So I think this might be the setting now, but we'll go from there. Again, Tides and Tactics is going to be our monthly educational seminar here. That's 100% free. Only thing we ask you guys sign in. That helps me keep along with everyone here. Out of my marketing too. You guys are going to get email blast every month. All that good stuff. You get exclusive discounts being here. Every time we have these seminars, it's going to be 10% off everything in the store. When we're done here, anything you guys want to buy is going to be 10% off. There's going to be raffles, there's going to be all sorts of things. Tonight we're going to do our big raffle. I'm actually going to raffle off a 4-hour charter tonight. So that'll be a big one you guys want to stick around for. And we're going to do the raffles inside when we're done. So as soon as we're done, I'll have you guys kind of go all up front there and Hope's going to call out the raffle tickets inside the store. And we'll go from there. Big sale. I do this sale every winter. This is the only discount I give all you get on my charters. If you buy an 8-hour gift certificate now, you'll get a 4-hour gift certificate free as well. I don't care if you use both of them. You want to give them to a friend, if you want to use them yourself. There's a great sale. I'll do that now to the end of the year. And then also, while you're at any of these seminars, I'm also going to do 10% off any charter booked at these seminars. Again, discounts. Today's raffle prizes are going to be 2 $20 gift cards for Leaf Fisher products. So O'Hero line, O'Hero rods, the cast nets in the store, leader line hooks, anything made by Leaf Fisher International is going to be a gift certificate for $20. We're going to do 2 of them today. And then the 4-hour charter for 2 people today as well. Alright, got through the easy, quick, boring stuff. You're going to see those slides every single time we do these seminars. It's going to be a copy and paste, so now we'll get into the fun stuff. What we're going to talk about today is going to be wintertime fishing tactics. I've already talked to a few of you here, and you're talking about how great you can do during the summertime. Now you get into this wintertime, your fishing completely dropped off the face of the earth. Everything changes this time of year. Everything's slower, different locations. It becomes very different. It can be great fishing this time of year, but you got to change things around a little bit. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is what we're going to do in the wintertime fishing tactics. So why we changed our fishing patterns? Most of our fish we catch in an area known as subtropical. You've probably seen it on TV before, newspaper, maybe you guys may have even seen it in person before. Our fish do not like the cold weather. You'll see a lot of our fish die in the wintertime if the water temperature gets too low. We'll have big fish kills. Back in 2010, there was a big fish kill. 2004, there was a big one. Every year, some fish die from these cold weather. But our fish do not like the cold weather here. So they kind of instead of concentrating on spawning or feeding, they're concentrating on trying to stay warm and trying to get through the winter. So you gotta start targeting them in areas where they're going to be trying to stay warm. Different species become more prevalent, so we're going to, instead of targeting our tarpon or cobia, we're going to start targeting fish that we normally don't target sometimes. Sheep's head, a huge one this time of year. Black drum, still plenty of redfish around. I'm going to talk to you guys how to catch snook this time of year. Instead of targeting some of your normal ones, we're going to change it up a little bit. Just so you know, I am going to be talking fast and trying to get you guys through a lot of information here. They kind of give me a pretty strict time. I know the first one I did these seminars, we went over closing time by quite a bit, and a lot of the employees weren't happy that I had to stick around an extra half hour after closing time. So I'm going to talk through this quickly and go through this as quick as I can. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. If I'm talking too fast, kind of just raise your hand and I'll take a break and try to go over what I just talked about. This time of year is when do we change our patterns? When I see that water temperature starts consistently staying below 70 degrees, that's when I'm going to start doing these wintertime tactics. I know a couple weeks ago you might have gone out there, you might see, if you started as early as I do in the morning, it was still dark, you'll see 65 in the depth finder, 66, but by the end of the day you're seeing 73, 74, so it's not really consistent on the 70. Right now, yesterday morning the water temperature was 59 when we started, 64 when we're done. So it's that time of year. It's getting below 70. Those fish are changing up. They're going to try to stay warm. So this is a big key factor is when that water temperature gets below 70. And it's typically December through about mid-February. Every year is about different. But this is about the time of year when I start doing this. Last year, if you guys remember, we got cold in October and stayed cold from October all the way through March and April. So we had a really long winter last year. Seems like we're having a mild one this year. I like it. Staying warm out there. I don't like the cold. I'm a very warm weather person myself. So it's nice that it's staying a little mild out there. But our water temperatures are definitely starting to drop. If you notice, this time of year we get a lot of north wind. That's going to change a lot of your tides. It's going to bring some cooler water down, cooler air down. When you see those consistent north wind days, even on days when it's not blowing 30 out there, it's still blowing out of the north, it's a good key factor you need to start doing some wintertime fishing out there. So there's a different target species we do this year, time of year. Sheep's head's kind of one of the big ones we do a lot of time this year. Sheep's head get really happy the colder it is. Those days when I scrape ice off the boat in the morning, which sounds very strange, fishing in Florida, scraping ice off your boat. Those have been my best sheep's head days. Black drum love this cold weather. Redfish don't mind this. Redfish will migrate as far north as Virginia, so they don't mind this cold weather. Trout, they get iffy in it, but you can still catch plenty of trout when it's still cold like this. Pompano is a big target species for a lot of guys this time of year. And then if you just want to go bend the rod, especially if you have kids on the boat, or you just want to catch some fish, there's always jacks and ladyfish around this time of year. Sometimes it's those fish we overlook when we say we haven't caught a fish all day, and you can go pull on 10-pound jacks. It's a fun fish to go fight. Back in 2020, when they closed down redfish, trout, and snook, and we couldn't keep any of them, it was kind of one of those things that wasn't in the back of my mind. I'm going out there still catching big trout and redfish, and I'm talking to another guy at the dock. He's like, yeah, we just caught big jacks all day. I'm like, well, it's kind of like really the trophy fish. It's like, well, they pull harder than a redfish does. They can't keep a redfish or a trout right now, so they're going to be the same end result. Might as well catch something that fights harder. I'm like, you're not wrong. And then snook, like I said, I have kind of like a star asterisk there. It's a very, I wouldn't say secret fishery we have this time of year, but it's a really cool fishery we have for snook this time of year. It's going to be my kind of last thing I talk about today. But if you want to catch a snook over 40 inches, this is the time of year to do it. It's very fun to do. I know that everyone I've shown how to do it, and they start doing it, they love it. I know Brian up front, but use him as examples since he decided to sit up front. Once he started doing it, I think he's out there for every night doing it now. But it's a lot of fun to do, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit how to do it. I'm sure he's not going to be too happy to see other people up there doing it around him, but big thing, use different baits this time of year. We're going to, instead of using our scale sardines or white bait, live bait, anything moving fast, you want to slow everything down. The metabolism of these fish is a lot slower, so they are trying to burn as less energy as they can because the meals they get is going to consume, get them less energy. So, big baits we use this time of year, shrimp, fiddler crabs, and cut bait, kind of the go-to this time of year. If that water temperature is below 70 degrees, even if I can find white bait or pilchards or greenbacks, whatever you want to call them, I won't even throw them. The fish aren't going to eat them. You can sit there and throw them right in front of a fish and just go look at it, swim around in front of it, just too much work for them to go get. Now, vice versa, if that water temperature is above 70 degrees, I won't throw a shrimp out there ever. So at least inshore. You throw a shrimp out there on a fly, so yes, everything eats it, but everything eats it. You throw it out there, you don't have 20 pinfish eating it at one time. You don't have the little puffer fish going after it. So that water temperature below 70, you can actually start using shrimp. You don't have to throw the net in the morning. You don't have to get soaking wet when you're freezing cold out there. So shrimp is a big bait to use this time of year. Jake and Jackie don't look like they're here today, but for you guys who don't know, the bait boat right across the boat ramp there, they are a great place to get live shrimp from. They're cheaper than everywhere else I've found. They always have them. You can call them ahead of time and say, I need 10 dozen shrimp, 250 shrimp, 500 shrimp tomorrow. I'll be able to have them. They're quality size. And what I like about them the best too, they don't go through 4 or 5 different holding tanks before they get to that. It comes from the shrimp boat right to their shrimp tank. So they are the freshest, nicest staying alive shrimp you have out there. I know I've been frustrated. You get a shrimp from one of these bait stores. You throw it out there, do one cast, and that shrimp just sinks on the bottom and sits on the side because it's already too stressed out. So getting fresh shrimp definitely helps, and I highly recommend Jake and Jackie. I can't say enough great things about them. I know a lot of you guys probably used them before, but they are great people and they are great things to get bait from. Even if I'm fishing down Tampa Bay or Clearwater, I'll order bait from them. They'll deliver it to my truck right down in the ramp, and then I'll drive to wherever I'm at. Artificials, I know a lot of guys are artificials. They always ask me, oh, why aren't we throwing artificials? This is the time of year I'll actually fish an artificial on the boat. You get a lot of fish on. But you gotta slow everything down. Instead of using those mirror lures or anything, you're twitching fast and moving quick, stuff that works real slow. So the mirror lure Little John, that little stick bait you see there that looks pretty much just like a hunk of rubber, that is my go-to bait right there. I'll buy those in giant bags of them, and I'll go through the whole entire bag throughout the couple weeks. But trout love them, redfish love them, snook will eat them. Everything eats those little guys. Work them real slow. You're all kind of, most of the time in this time of year, they're going to pick that bait up off the bottom. So you throw that jig out there, jig it once, count to 15 before you move it again. Literally let it sit right there on the bottom. Those fish are going to pick it up off the bottom. Now if you're moving it quick, sometimes if they're really feisty, they'll eat it. But most of the time they're going to eat it off the bottom. DOA shrimp is another one. And that one I tell people, if you think you're working it too slow, slow down and work it even slower. The slower you can work these baits in the wintertime, the better. Pound tails work great. Can't go wrong with a pompano jig. That's really the only one out of this group here that you can work a little fast. Pompano love them, jacks, ladyfish. I put everything from tarpon on them to snook to offshore grouper. Little hunk of lead. They have. You guys still carry pompano jigs, right? I know. Oh. You guys still have pompano jigs?
Yes.
Okay. Problem with pompano jigs, there's like 2 big main guys who made all your pompano jigs in the area. And both of them within the last year have died on us now. So now there's going to be new people making them now. But so just making sure they still carry before I talk about how great the pompano jigs are. And then the last one, that Rapala SXR12, you'll see that guy right there. Remember what that lure looks like. When we're going to talk about snook later, that is the snook trolling lure right there. That is what we're going to catch our big snook on, is that little Rapala SXR12. I blow through a ton of them. I have a whole entire kit of those guys. It's specific for the snook this time of year, but that little lure right there. All right. Any questions on that before we get into the main meat of this presentation? Good? Easy enough? Alright. So, picking the spot you're going to fish this time of year, it's completely different than what you do most of the year. I look for, you know, fish areas like docks, rivers, power plants, anywhere where you can kind of get some warmth. But I look for 6 main factors for what I'm trying to pick a wintertime location. The first one and the biggest is going to be structure. Most of your fish are going to be on structure. Almost all your fish are going to be in some sort of structure. Whether it's your physical structure like a rock, a dock, something like that, or a bend in the current where a sandbar's underwater you can't see, some type of structure. Structure holds heat, it's going to be the biggest one. So if you find a dock, a black rock, oysters, all that's going to hold some sort of heat. It's going to be 1, 2, maybe 3 degrees warmer than everything else. And those fish are going to be sitting on top of that. So that is the biggest thing I will look for. Oyster beds, rock piles, docks are a huge one this time of year. But you're going to look for some sort of structure. Bends in your river. So we fish a lot inside the rivers this time of year. These bends in the river are typically deeper. They hold a little bit more structure. I'll get a little bit more. I'm getting way ahead of myself here, so I need to slow myself down here. But muddy bottom, any type of muddy bottom out there is a great spot to look for these fish. Eddies, we'll get into eddies here in a little bit. Depth and west and east facing structures. We're going to get into a little bit of each one of these mean now. I forgot how I had this kind of worded a little bit. I was going through it quicker than I should have, but we're going to each one of them here now. Like I said, the structure, that's going to be one of the biggest things I have for wintertime fishing here. It holds heat. It's a great food source for a lot of these fish. You can notice a lot of these oysters and barnacles are growing, these docks are pilings. So fish, like especially sheep's head and blackcurrant, and off of them. If you go out on a low tide, and you look at all these docks out there, you'll see these barnacles almost all these docks. If you notice, some of these docks have little sections, almost perfect circles, missing out of those barnacles. That's a dock that a sheep's head eat on. So if you go out there on low tide, you go, oh, the sheep's head on that one on the high tide, the sheep's head on that one on the high tide, the sheep's head on that one on the high tide, and you go back and fish them on the high tide and catch a sheep's head on that one. Examples of structure, again, like docks, oysters, bridges. The Antelope River has a couple of nice bridges that hold plenty of fish. The alternate 19 bridge, the old train trestle bridge, which turned into the old pronounced trail bridge. Now it's just a closed down walking trail bridge. But the second bridge, if you're heading up the Antelope River, and then you got the 19 bridge going through the Antelope River. All great spots to catch these fish at. The Cody River, you have the Grand Street Bridge, you have Main Street, the Marine Ranch Bridge. So plenty of bridges in these rivers. Gulf Harbors has a couple little bridges going back in there. They'll hold fish on them. But bridges, docks, all great structure. And then boats actually make a great structure. Obviously, that guy who takes his boat out every weekend and uses his boat every weekend, you probably don't want to fish that boat because the fish aren't going to sit around that one. But you'll see some of these docks in there. They'll have a boat that that's falling apart. It's all covered in green algae. It's half sinking. That's structure. That's just another piece of floating structure there. If you go through downtown sponge docks, all those boats on the left and right, they all hold fish on them. There's big slope on some of those boats, plenty of sheep's head, black drum. But it's a great area to go fish. I'm going to be talking a lot about fishing these rivers. That's the big thing I do this time of year, is definitely fish the Antelope Cody River. It's really nice about both these spots. If you guys have probably seen, when these cold fronts come through in the wintertime, that wind's blowing 35 miles per hour. There's no leaving the river. And there's so many fish to be caught up inside these rivers. So I'm going to be talking a lot about fishing in these rivers. As I said, by rivers and even Gulf Harbor canals, you can stay in there all day and catch plenty of fish. The Cody River, plenty of salmon in there. If you go north to Hudson Channel, you go south of here, you go to Tampa Bay, the Owl 5 River is a great spot to fish. Anywhere these rivers, you can stay in there and catch all these fish all day. Then we're talking about rivers, we talk about the bends in the river. Every bend in the river is typically going to be deeper. Just the way the water forces through there, it hits a point and has to turn. So when it hits that point, it digs more out, digs more out. So if you find any of your bends in the river, it's going to be first off deeper, but most of the time is going to have some structure sitting in the bottom of that hole. Just the way, just all oysters, just all of current flow. That's the current's going to dig sand off the top of them, so there's going to be some type of structure in most of the bends in the river. Obviously, when you're fishing out here in the river, if you're fishing that first 2 miles when everyone's on full plane, you don't want to be sitting in the middle of the channel trying to fish it that way. When I'm talking about the river, I'm talking about going past the sponge docks, going past all those little docks up there, going as far in as Perrine Ranch Road up there. You can go to any of those bends in the river and be a great spot to fish. What happens too when you get these holes, that current hits that corner and digs everything out. Well, now behind those rocks in the bottom of that hole is going to be a break in the current. A lot of times the fish will sit in those little areas as well. Next thing I'm looking for is going to be muddy bottom. That's a pretty easy self-explanatory one, especially if you've been up in the river. It's a very sulfury, thick, that mud you step in, you're going to go up to your waist in mud. You can't even move it in the mud. It's a great spot that holds fish because that holds heat. That sulfury mud is so dark in color and so thick, and it doesn't allow oxygen to really move through it, so it holds all that heat at the bottom of the water. You have time, Ashley? You all right?
Please up to you.
All right. They told me I'm strict at 6:30. I gotta stop talking. So, so muddy bottom's a pretty easy one to figure out. But anywhere that muddy bottom is going to be fish there. Eddies. This is a huge thing to figure out when you're fishing out there in those water. When I was talking about structure earlier, not all structure is made the same. So you want to find the structure of the best eddies on. So an eddy is, by definition, a circular movement of water counter to the main current. So in other words, what that means, causes a break in the natural flow of the current, and those fish are going to sit in that natural break in current and lay as an ambush point. So not all eddies are created equal. So if you come through the river and that current's hitting the dock, and you're seeing that water push against the dock, you'll notice behind every one of those pilings, there's some type of break in current. There's good eddies, bad eddies, okay eddies. The way to find an eddy, and the best way to do it, and find the best eddy, is take a handful of leaves from your house, something biodegradable you can actually throw in the water so leaves is perfect. Come up current of that dock, throw those leaves in the water, and just watch them come up to that dock. As the leaves come up to the dock, you watch them hit a piling, go behind the piling, sit there for like a quarter of a second, and keep going. Not a very good eddy. Then it'll come up to the next piling, and you'll see it hit that dock piling, and you'll see that leaf kind of circle for a couple seconds, and then move again. Better eddy, a little more current break behind that one, but still not the best one. Then you'll watch that leaf come into another one. That leaf will get behind that dock piling, and it'll sit there perfectly still on top of the current, not move, and stay there for 10-15 minutes. There's such a break of current behind that piling. That's where almost all your fish are going to be sitting at. You can be sitting there on the same dock, and you're fishing the left piling where that eddy's okay, and I'm fishing the right one where that eddy's that perfect, that leaf's not moving behind, and I'm going to catch 30 fish to your one. They're all going to sit behind that one there because that's where the easiest break of current is. That's where the most bait's getting flushed into. That's where all your shrimp are getting staged at, all your little crabs are getting staged at, so all your predator fish are going to be behind that piling. If you can figure out where your eddies are in the water, it is the best thing to get out there. Now, there are underwater eddies that you can't even see, but they do the same thing. You can even throw the leaves in the middle of the channel, and you'll watch them float to the channel, and you'll see one literally stop in the middle of the river. You know, how's that leaf sitting right there perfectly still? It's not on bottom, it's sitting right there. Fish that spot in the river. Guaranteed there's fish sitting behind that little eddy there. But if you can find these eddies, that's where you're going to want to fish at in any of these rivers, docks, canals, any dock you fish, even if it's not in the wintertime. If you can find the ones with the best eddies on it, that's where your fish are going to sit at. You'll watch me drive by if we're fishing the river. We'll drive by 30 docks that all look the exact same. We fish one that's in the very middle of the pack, and that's the one that has the best eddies on it. And that's what all the fish are going to sit behind. Next thing we're going to look at is depth. Depth is definitely important. As we get through the winter here, we have these cold fronts that are coming through. That temperature is going to drop 20 degrees overnight, 30 degrees overnight some nights. The shallower the water, the more drastically is affected by these temperature changes. So these fish don't want to sit in those really shallow areas. They're going to be sitting more 6 to 8, 10 feet of water in these rivers because it's not going to be drastically affected. Now, if it's really cold, they might come up to those shallow spots just to warm up. But if they're in the shallow spot warming up, they're warming up, they're not eating. You don't want to be in those deeper little pockets. That way they're not getting affected as much. You'll hear all the time, oh, the water temperature out there was 58 degrees, 62 degrees. That's surface temperature. Bottom temperature is typically a couple degrees different. In the summertime, it's a couple degrees cooler. In the wintertime, it's a couple degrees warmer. So if you find that a little bit deeper water, it's going to be a little bit warmer, and more fish are going to be sitting in it. So when you're finding your dock, your deeper docks are typically going to hold more fish. And an easy way to find a deeper dock, because obviously you can't take your boat, back it into some guy's random dock and see how deep it is with your depth finder. Kind of look for some visual cues to see how deep it is. You can look for, if it has a bigger boat on it, that's always a good key to see it's a deeper dock. The guy with a 38-foot fountain is going to need a little bit more water than the 18-foot hughes. And then if there's a sailboat anchored there, that's a great way to tell it's deeper because they have those big keels underneath of it. So any of the big sailboats are great docks to fish. Obviously, you see the big shrimp boats, they need more water. But looking at the boats is always a great little way to figure it out. And then watercolor is always a little easier this time of year to figure out. Darker the water, the deeper it is. Lighter the water, the shallower it is typically. That threw me off the first time we went to the Keys. Many years ago in the Keys, because that's kind of the opposite down there. If it's dark down there, it's shallow. If it's light, it's deep. Kind of a little bit opposite. But over here, if it's darker, it's deep. And then west versus east facing. This is a big one that'll help you guys out there. As we remember from elementary school, sun rises in the east, sets in the west. So as that sun comes up from the east, the first place it's going to warm up, west shorelines. That sun's going to warm this stuff up first, and vice versa in the afternoon as it's setting, that sun's over here on the in the west facing the east side. And those fish are going to be sitting in areas like that there, where you're going to be trying to stay warm. So in the morning, you want fish on the west side of the bank, because that's where the sun's warming up first, and in the evening, vice versa, figure out that way. So you might go out there on Tuesday morning and catch all your fish under this dock here. I'm going, oh, this is great. My wife gets off of work at 3 in the afternoon. I'm going to go pick her up and go back to this dock. And you go back to that dock and not catch a single fish. That's because they all move to that side of the river where the sun's facing on that side of the river. So kind of try to pay attention to what the sun's hitting first. It's no different than what we are. If you're out there, and I know I'm a big hunter, you're out there on a cold winter day, and that sun's finally coming up on one side of the tree. You might take your climber and kind of move that side of the tree because you're freezing cold. The fish are no different. Tackle and rigs, this is for most of what we're doing out there, is a 7-foot medium power extra fast rod. That extra fast is pretty important this time of year for sheepshead fishing. For you guys who fished sheepshead before and haven't tried to catch them before, you know how slightly they bite. When you see that line barely twitch and they already stole your bait. That extra fast rod, you'll actually be able to feel that bite a lot quicker, and you'll have a little bit more tip power to get that hook set to a sheepshead. 2,500 to 3,000 size spinning reel, so your general spinning reel, 4,000 is fine. The hooks I talked about last time is always my go-to hook, that VMC one circle hook, or if you want to use a J hook for sheepshead, a cutting point is what you're looking for. So the owner makes those cutting points. They have almost a knife on the tip of their hook versus just that typical point. And that'll cut through that sheepshead mouth a little easier. And then number 4 split shot, you kind of want aiming that you can keep that bait towards the bottom, barely skip across the bottom as you're fishing docks. If you need to go a little heavier, get a little bigger split shot, a little lighter, kind of get a couple different sizes. Number 4 is the general rule of thumb. Alright, so before I get into the snook fishing now, I'm telling you tons of information here. Any questions on any of that stuff? Alright. So this is my favorite thing to do this time of year. It's kind of a very odd tactic, but it is a very phenomenal way to fish this time of year. Nighttime snook trolling. Actually trolling for snook. I know most people have never heard trolling for snook in the same sentence, but it's a great way to catch these big snook. Like I said, this time of year is the best time to go catch those big 40-inch snook. You might not catch big numbers of snook this time of year. You're not going out there to catch 40 snook like you do in the springtime. But when you get one, it's going to be a fish of a lifetime type of snook. You can do nighttime trolling in any of the rivers, Gulf Harbors, Anclote, Cody River, all of them hold these big fish. What you're going to do is you're going to take that Rapala SXR12 I showed you guys earlier, throw it off the back of the boat, cast out as far as you can cast it off the back of the boat, and just idle with the current. Just barely bumped in the gear going with tide. Going against tide, those baits will swim funky. The bait doesn't swim naturally that way. They're not going to hit going against tide most of the time. So you're going to come with the tide. It's coming in, go in. If it's going out, troll out. Just barely bumped in the gear. We can even use your trolling motor. You're just going fast enough to that bait's digging along, just moving across the bottom. You're going to use that little Rapala SXR12 is a great bait. The NOBN big swim baits work great for it. Any type of large swim bait works. That live target mullet, I don't even know if they still make the live target mullet anymore. It's a great bait to use for them. But if you go out there, anytime from now until about February, when they start leaving these rivers again, is when you want to do this. Almost all of our snook in the area will go in these rivers, try to stay warm all winter long. So if you go up there and try trolling, this time of year is the time to do it. I'll typically try to get my boat up into way of these rivers. So Anclote, for example, I'll go all the way to the golf course that's right there, up the Anclote River. I'll start there. And I'll get up there about 30 minutes before dark, just so I can get up there, get ready, get me tied up, and troll from now until 10 o'clock at night. And this is when you'll start catching big snook. As they do, you'll use a 4 or 5, maybe even a 6,000 size reel, so something a little bigger that you can turn these fish out when you're trolling them. You're going to just troll up and down the river, slow as can be at this little Rapala, and you'll catch some really big snook doing it. 40-pound leader, jump up your leader a little bit. As it's nighttime, they're not as leader shy. You're trolling to that base moving 4 or 5 miles per hour. They're not having time to look at it. So it's a great, you can beef up the tackle when they catch some big snook. I'm going to use my wife as an example back there. Her first 3 fish that were over 40 inches were all caught doing this. So if you want to catch that 40-inch snook, this is the way to do it. They don't fight the way they do in the summertime. They're not going to burn through 100 yards of line and take off because they are cold and not using a lot of energy. But you can catch some big snook doing it this time of year. Cody River is just as good as the Anclote. Gulf Harbors you can do just as well. Just get out there and start trolling. Only advice I can remember after doing all this is a big one. A couple of years ago, we were out there trolling up there by the golf course in the Anclote River, and that neighborhood's called Forest Hills. That neighborhood decided to have their boat parade that night. So as we're reeling in the first snook, I turn around, there's just 30 boats heading at me, all the Christmas. I think, what in the world is going on? But it's a great technique if you want to go out there and catch big snook. Try it if you can really plan it out. If you have a front coming through Wednesday, try to get out there Tuesday. The day before the front, they really fire off really well. A night like tonight where it's not freezing cold, it just has that cooler brisk in the air, it's not freezing during the day. Tonight would be an amazing night to go out there and do it.
That's a question before you go on.
Yeah.
Like when you're using those Rapalas or the larger swim baits, are you dragging the bottom or getting close to the bottom?
Close to the bottom. You'll be almost knocking the bottom again. It's all mud bottom out there, so you're just not fouling up. You want to try to get as close to the bottom without really being in the bottom as you can. Most of what you're going to be trolling for is only going to be 3 to 4 feet of water up there, so it's not very deep. So a lot of times those bugs are going to be knocking bottom. If they're knocking bottom a lot, slow down a little bit. If they're not knocking bottom at all, let a little more line out, kind of play around until you get that bug in the right area.
Secret colors.
I like the silver and black, but I think that's nighttime. I don't think it really matters being in the middle of nighttime color. back when I was younger, I used to take them and I take that, if I don't have white, I'll take a Sharpie and cover the back of it to make it black. I don't think it really matters at all. So it's at nighttime, they're not really gonna care too much. Silver and black's a good one, mullet color, that olive back, any darker colors, but I would personally get. But if you only had the option of some light ones, they need it as well. Anything else on that? What time is it actually? 6:15? Alright. So we got a little more time still. Last few tips I have is, if you guys have noticed, this time of year the tides are always lower in the wintertime. And now you have the north wind on top of that. You'll see days where you'll never have a tide come in. So try planning your day around the negative low tide. Plan your day having no water anywhere you want to go. Don't think that, oh, high tide's at noon, I can go out there and I'll have water at noontime. This time of year when you have those north winds, I've seen days where that tide will not come in and you'll see a low tide all day. So plan your fishing around low tide and no water. Fronts and barometric pressure, I kind of touched on that a little bit a minute ago. The day before a front, your barometric pressure is dropping. Those fish can sense that. They can actually, their air bladder will swell or shrinks before a front when that barometric pressure is falling, causing an empty sensation in their stomach. So as that barometric pressure is dropping, those fish are going to feed heavy. Now the day after the front, that air bladder is actually going to swell, causing their stomach pretty much to be full because that air bladder swell off. So the day before front, they're going to feel really hungry and eat as much as they can. And that day after the front, they're probably not going to eat very well. There's not very many days I'll call you the day beforehand and go, hey, the fishing might be slow tomorrow, we probably shouldn't go. This time of year, you might get that phone call from me with those fronts coming through. If you have a front coming through and tomorrow's the day after the front, I'll give you a call and go, hey, this is my opinion, this is what might happen. That day after that front can be a tough day fishing out there. Now, I've also be the first one to admit, I've made that phone call and tell you that tomorrow's going to be a very tough day and be one of the best days of the year out there, and you're going, I don't know. I don't know why they're eating today. But, so if fish don't let that discourage you, but just kind of keep that in mind that those days after the front can be a very tough day. Where you might have a day where you go out there and you'll catch 2 fish all day and you go, man, this is terrible. But if you went the day before the front, you got the guys who went out there yesterday, Charter Captain's famous words, you should have been here yesterday, you'll catch 45 of them. Alright, so I went through that really quick because I know I was a little stressed on time the last couple times. So let's do the Q&A here. We can do anything from what I talked about today, fishing in general, anything like that. And then once we get done the Q&A, I'll have you guys go up front there and hope we'll do the raffle tickets. We'll see what you guys want. Alright.
For structure in the winter, how are the spoils outside the channels?
They can be very good and very tough, depending on the day.
That answers it's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so a day like today, where it's a little warmer out, it's been warm for a couple days,
Yeah.
you'll see more fish on those islands.
Okay.
But they're shallow, and they can be affected by this temperature change quite a bit. If it's cold for a couple days, you won't see any fish on any of those islands.
All right.
I would concentrate, instead of fishing the islands, cut up the river a little bit and start fishing the docks, a half mile of river. You'll start seeing fish more and more in there. I know a lot is John and CJ look for this trip every year, the wintertime fishing trips. We don't start fishing until we get past 19 up here. We start fishing literally back behind on the Tarpon Fishing Outfitters where we start catching most of our fish at. It's a very slower, nice pace day. You're not going fast. You guys are working real slow, fishing docks. I would definitely concentrate more on docks in the winter time.
On that Rapala SXR12,
Yes.
how big are we talking?
It's about 5-inch bait. It's about 5-inch bait, little lip to it. I should have grabbed one off the shelf and came back here to show you guys and passed it around. But when we go up front through the raffle tickets, I'll go grab them off the shelf, and that way you guys can all see what one looks like. It's like almost like a stick bait, a 5-inch little bait. Has a little lip on it, dives in 2 to 4 feet of water. It's a nice little, nothing too fancy about it.
Same thing with rubber?
Same thing with rubber. That's a 4 or 5-inch profile, nothing huge. A lot of times it'll be skinnier profile baits. I don't like those big fat profiles, so they're skinny profiles, some low presence in the water, but still big enough that they can get a nice meal out of it.
When you're trolling the baits, do you have the rods in the rod holders, you hold it in your hand?
So if I'm doing it, I'll have it in my hand. If I'm having a client do it, it's in the rod holder. Because those still go in hard enough to rip it out of your hand. Hey Hope, while I'm doing a Q&A, could you go grab a Rapala SXR12 for me? Rapala SXR12.
Silver and black.
Silver and black.
I should have grabbed this one. So,
It's okay.
so she'll go grab one real quick and I'll pass it around real quick and yes.
How are the reefs in the winter? Like Tarpon Reef or Veterans Reef? Or
The sheep's head will start moving out there very shortly, typically about the second week in January to spawn, and they'll be loaded with sheep's head out there. Lots of grunts out there as always. Grouper moving shallow, grouper bites really good, and then the hogfish bite this time of year gets really good. Fish to a hard bottom or around those reefs, don't necessarily fish on the structure, kind of fish 100 feet off the structure, and that's where you catch your hogfish at.
Okay.
And bring lots of shrimp. Lots and lots of shrimp. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, bring as many shrimp as you can. I don't even bother bringing big pinfish out there just like you do really, unless you're trying to catch big red snapper real deep. Shrimp's the key bait this time of year, inshore or offshore.
Or even would use a live shrimp out there.
I'll use live shrimp. A lot of times I'll use half the shrimp. Shrimp in general, they'll eat it. Even the big guy will work them up and eat the big shrimp this time of year. I really like catching them. Alright, this is the Rapala I told. I'll start passing that around, let you guys kind of. And Yozuri makes a bait that looks exactly like that. Nomad makes one, but the Rapala's kind of always been my go-to, so that's the one I use there. What other questions do you have?
So if you're fishing around the piers in the river,
Yes.
using artificial, are you looking more than a prawn, or are you paddle tail, you
I like
can't really drag it around the
Yeah,
pier?
I'll lay like this little stick bait, DOA shrimp works real well. You just got literally throw into the dock and turn, just pop everything out, let the DOA sit there, let it pop. Probably don't even ever have to reel the rock. Just literally keep working that same shrimp under that dock like that.
If you wanna get it down low.
Yeah.
Get it down.
Those fish are on the bottom, they're not gonna be moving fast. The slower you can move the artificial, the better you're gonna be.
Weedless or?
Doesn't really need to be weedless, because most of your fishing is going to be oysters and that type of stuff. You might lose a couple lures, but it's going to be weedless. I cannot emphasize that much enough with the artificial, if you're not doing the trolling thing. The slower you move, the better. There's times, especially use that DOA shrimp for big trout, you can throw it out there, put it in the rod holder, eat a sandwich, and that fish is going to eat it. What other questions do you have? Yes.
How hard is it to navigate the river once you get past the whole 19th bridge? Or is it that far back in there?
Follow the outside bend. You'll see the dark water. Every time you just follow the opposite bend on every turn, and that'll be where the deep water is. It doesn't get difficult until I would say you get about half mile past 19. Then it starts getting a little shallower. As long as you have a boat that drafts under 2 feet of water, you can figure it out.
Okay.
If you have a boat that drafts more than that, anything up to 19 is very easy, no matter what the time is.
What was the bridge that we got stopped at that one last year? You couldn't go any farther.
19. Here, we're right past 19 in the last one where you got, that tide was still blowing that big. It was 1 foot tide to begin with, and a 20 mile per hour north wind. There was no water. And that was what we got, that's what we had to stop and make that 19, I think.
Talking about the east shore and the west shore.
Yes.
Because of the sunlight.
Yep.
This time of year when the sun's a little bit further to the south, is the north shore anything?
It's still kind of east, but you're right. You're kind of just fish where that sun is. It's facing. Almost fish directly from the sun. Yes. So tides don't move east and west in and out. They actually move north and south. So as the tide's coming in, it's coming in from the north, coming from south going north. So as that's hot to me, that keeps flowing due north. Then it fills in all your creeks and all that stuff, all the canals. That's why it feels like it's coming north. It's actually flowing north. So if you have that wind blowing from the north, it just doesn't have enough force because all that water from the north is pushing south. Water from the south is pushing north. It just kind of doesn't move. Or if it push further out, it's not going out. All right. Any other questions before we do the raffle? It's in your bag. Get raffle tickets in your bag. So we're going to actually go back outside here, go out front, go up to the front counter there. Hope is going to be driving these raffle tickets at the front counter. Yep, you're gonna get some big guys. Pay that maybe up to a quarter.
See what happens.
Okay. And I'll meet you guys up there. I try to move that for everything. That's not a lot of time for everything to move that. I don't. I just
You just know.
I just don't.
I'm so worried about taking her out because we have that night fish camera, but we don't have the light bar.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking about adding that.
The light bar level.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, when I use a light, I feel like it blinds me more than helps me. I feel like it reflects off the water or something off the side,
Yeah.
bounces back more, and I can see better. One of my eyes used to it at night.
Yes, alright.
Yeah, you bet. Bye.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.